All right, this is the Sugar Sand Mirage. A tour of the inside. All fiberglass floor, which is pretty slick to clean out. Just take a hose to it, a little brush, and then there's a couple self-bailing holes in the back underneath there that the water just drains right out, which is real nice. I'll just kind of go back to front. So in the back, one thing that really sets this boat apart is it's got a fishing pedestal seat mount right over the top of the engine cover, and you can kind of walk all the way around this boat. It's quite big actually back here. There's a nice swim platform around the back, and that's where the swim ladder is. You can see a grab handle back there, and then this is your engine bay. So this little guy here, lift it up. It's got the 240 horse, which is the largest engine that you could get in this boat. It's fuel injected, so pops right off at the launch. Got a boat cover in here. It's a full travel cover, so you can actually drive with that on if you'd like. Plenty of storage back here for kind of your beach bags and towels and all that kind of junk. And like I mentioned, these seats, these are actually pedestal seats that flip up. They have a spring-loaded mechanism that where they'll auto kind of tilt down to keep the water off of them and things when you've got it sitting outside, or keep the sun off of it actually, and just keep your legs warm. But these swivel, and then there's just a little pedestal mount under there, so they pop right off. Hard to do holding the phone, but one can go in the back and then one can go in the front as well. So there's one on each side, and when they're up, you can kind of lay across it like a bench. So it's not like they'll fly down, but they kind of are set to auto flip down. Underneath here, this is sort of we use it as a cooler. It's a live well, but it's also insulated, so it works as a cooler, and then we kind of use it for storage too. So a lot of the common things like our boat bumpers and things, we kind of keep all those in here, so they're really easy to grab. Sometimes I just throw them underneath these seats. That's another nice thing, is underneath these two seats, it's hollow all the way back to that engine bay. So, if you need a place to put your flip-flops and towels and all that kind of stuff, they can all kind of fit underneath there. And cup holders, I think there's 6 of them. There's one on the front and one on the back of this seat. There's one up here by the glove box. Same on the driver's side. And then glove box it does have that little lip around it, so everything kind of stays dry that you've got in there. If it does get any moisture, there's a couple little holes in the bottom, so it does drain out. It doesn't stink or anything in there, What else do I want to show you? Okay. As far as switches go, we've got our lights, interior lights. There's a couple lights just to kind of light up the floor. Nav lights, of course, those are kind of standard front and back navigation lights. I mentioned the live well, so you click that switch and you can fill that whole tub up with water and just kind of keep it circulating. It does have a bilge pump, although I rarely need to use the bilge pump. One kind of neat feature about a jet boat is that the jet is, when the engine is on, it's constantly pumping out the bilge. It's got a little, siphon kind of hose. So rarely have I ever had to use that bilge pump actually. It does have a blower as well. So they do recommend that before you fire it up on a hot day, if it's been sitting out in the sun, just to kind of run that blower for a little bit, pull some of the potential fumes out of the engine bay. Nobody likes to get blown up. It can hold 8 people, which is pretty unique for a boat that's this size. This is an 18-foot boat. And so it's got plenty of seating capacity. It's got the radio, all that jazz under here. Cigarette lighter, so if you want to charge your phone, all that kind of stuff. You got 12-volt power up here. And then, of course, the fuses for all these things are right here. So pretty easy. Super simple operation. A jet boat, it's always on. So when you turn it on, the engine's running. There's always thrust. And so when it's in this neutral position in the middle, you've got the same amount of thrust pushing forwards as you do pushing backwards. And then when you go forward, it just releases the bucket in back, or lifts the bucket up, and so the jet can push the water straight backwards. And then when you go to reverse, it just puts the bucket down and it pushes the thrust to the back of the boat. So pretty simple, no propellers back there for the kids to get their feet hooked on or anything like that, which is nice. It also doesn't hang out the back, and I'll show you that when I'll have another video of the outside of the boat. Yeah, so it's got speakers. I want to say, yeah, it's got 4 speakers, 2 in the back, 1 on each side here. And then these chairs, they're pretty comfortable. They swivel. I think this captain's chair moves forward and backwards, and then they've got these kind of the arms that come down. So you've kind of got a little armrest, which is actually kind of comfortable. It's got the fire extinguisher down here too, which of course is Coast Guard required. Up front, this is kind of what makes this the fun and fish part. So it's got your typical bow rider sort of front with the cushions, padded cushions back here and on the floor. Grab handles as well, so you've got something to grab onto. This centerpiece can actually pop out, and so you could have it as like a typical bow rider where you just have it open. There's a nice little step for getting in and out of the boat. It's got that kind of non-slip texture on it. Or you can put this, sorry, I'm doing it with one hand. You put that back in, and then a pedestal. There's a pedestal in the back there. It can go in here. It anchors down into the bottom of the boat, and you can bring one of those seats up front, so you can use it like a fishing boat up front. Coupled up here as well, and then the trolling motor mount right here. So that's like a Minn Kota mount, which I've got an option there in case anybody is looking for something like that to go with it. We can kind of work that out. And then also there's the 12-volt power. So you can have this run on 12 or 24. I currently have it set up to do 24. But if you just hook up one of the sets of cables, it's a 12-volt system. The window, just like any other typical bow rider, will close. It's a full windscreen, which is pretty nice. And so then when you're sitting down here, you can kind of close that up. I've never mounted a mirror up here. I've always had a spotter with, so not a big deal. But the view out the front is pretty nice. It doesn't. There's no real obstruction. You kind of notice the nose of the boat tips down, which is actually really nice when you're like pulling a tuber. And you know, the bow will always rise up a little when you get out of the water and you're getting on plane, so that makes visibility a little better there. Additional storage underneath that little platform. So if you keep the platform in, which I typically do, even if my kids are sitting up front, we have like a beach bag that fits under there pretty perfectly. Actually, we just shove it under there, and that's just a nice spot to hold more stuff when we're out on the water. So, all right, I will stop this dumb video. I hope that was kind of everything that anyone would want to see inside this boat, and I'll give you a tour of the outside.